Hey, everybody. Lovable panelist Greg here to just drop a little bit of a message. We're going through some technical difficulties here, and you may notice some slight hiccups with the sound quality on this one. We are sorry for that, but please enjoy the show anyway. Take it away, opening credits.
I'm your host, Mike Gravano, and this year is 1996. So bag it up, no diggity. Turn to the stars like Bowen and Draco and pop a scrunchie in that hair. Before I introduce this week's panelists, know this, that the show is also a game in which points are awarded for well-made arguments, coaching thoughts about the film, jokes, and anything else I feel like awarding. Warner will be my best friend for a week and have gloating rights, and of course, deliver blueberry muffins to me every single day, no matter what my quote-unquote doctor has to say about it. With me are these guys, and let me tell you, I told you guys look great in gold, is Ryan.
Mike, I love how you read the most important information as fast as if it's like the end of the drug commercial.
The producer Dave was just like, wrap it up.
That's just what he does with his wiener. That is called the helicopter. You should ignore that.
Well, he should wrap that up, no diggity.
That's true.
So do you want me to slow down? This is a game show. There are points. There are winners. This matters.
Here's Ryan. He's handsome.
Here's Ryan.
In gold.
Okay, well, I already said the gold part and your name part, and I guess handsome's implied. Ryan, we're going to do this differently tonight. In 2 sentences or less, tell me your thoughts about that thing you do before this week.
Oh, devastated, of course, that it broke Tom Hanks's streak of $100 million movies back in 1996. I watched, I did see this movie in theaters, owned it on every type of home entertainment you can. I have this movie memorized. It still holds up. It's a wonderful film. It's that thing I do. I'll tell you that much right now. Period. Sentence number 2. Now, give it to the rest of them.
All right. You're so magnanimous. Greg, you look great in red. Greg's here tonight.
Thank you so much, Mike. I'm very happy to be here, and I thought in the intro I was just listening to it at 1.5 speed, but it'll be very interesting for our listeners who do listen at the elevated speeds.
That's what I do. I do it to spoke their wheels a little.
I love it.
A compliment gets you a point. And Greg, same question. That thing you do. 2 questions or less. 2 sentences. Nope. Ask me 2 questions.
I have loved it since it came out. I've been in love with Liv Tyler since probably 1995. And I find it still to be an exceedingly charming movie, even though everyone in it has gotten to be extremely young and they're just little bitty babies. I thought they were adult people, but actually turns out they're extremely small children.
Thank you, Greg. And joining us tonight to get a different perspective, somebody who was born years after this movie came out. Studio audience, give a warm welcome for Dewey.
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me on. I just want to let you guys know I came here not to make friends. I came here to dominate. So just be ready for me and my 2005 negative 9 years of age after 1996 to come out here and dominate this field.
One of the most intimidating intros I've ever heard from somebody.
Oh, he's doing the finger blow thing. I don't know what it means, but I know it's scary. All right, Dewey, before this week, what was your history with this movie? Had you heard of it?
I had never heard of this.
Ah!
I'm sure Ryan was probably muttering it under his breath as I walked by him. He is to this, but
yeah, we should let listeners know that Dewey is from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's where I found him, and this was his one dream, is to be on Movie of the Year.
Yes, yes, all true.
Ryan, you are known for crashing Make-A-Wish Foundation buildings and bullying those kids. So
well, we're actually the anti-Make-A-Wish. We're called Nightmare Scenario. It's you're gonna die, and then also you have to do some shit you don't want to.
I go in and hand each kid a piece of paper that says "Wish for more wishes," and just see what happens.
Do you guys remember that Onion video? That's not what we're here to do.
Do you mean, Mike, do you mean every cooking video? Because that's how they all start, as an onion video. Why do you need onions with every single dinner we make in this country? Onions.
Delicious. Next question.
Works. Yeah. Fucking fool. God damn it, Ryan. What's wrong with you? All right. So, Dewey, you had never heard of it before this week, but after watching it, what's your general stance? Are you like, you guys are fools for putting this in your Sweet 16? Or are you like, hell yeah, I'm going to take this to all my other youthful brethren and let them know?
Listen, I was really unsure about this movie going into it, but then one thing changed, and that one thing was Steve Zahn. Oh my God. Steve Zahn, what a man. Oh my, there's nothing else.
Yes. Accurate. You and 10-year-old me who saw this in theaters, same opinion. I was so charmed, and he would go on to become my favorite actor for the rest of his life, which I assume was only 10 years after this movie.
I can't tell you how many times Mike and I have been walking past the shittiest motorhome you've ever seen, and Mike says, "There's a guy with a really nice trailer."
Was that a really nice trailer?
No. No, it was not.
Not even in 96 terms, or no, in 64 terms?
I mean, it was like one of those that's just in the back of a pickup truck. Like, I'm not like, it's not a bad trailer. It's just, I don't even know if it's a trailer.
I also would not eat stew out of that thing.
Oh, no, I would have been all in on that stew. If we had been doing shopping spree, the first thing I would have had on my list was some of that stew. He served them up one bowl. He's like, he keeps half it for himself, and then he puts the rest of it on a bowl on the table.
Banned. They should be so lucky. All right. We are going to dig in to this film after this, what some are calling the quickest of breaks. That Thing You Do is, of course, a 1996 American musical comedy about the fictional band The Onetters, written and directed by Tom Hanks, which is, of course, his feature writing and directing debut. Like so many things, it is set in a time where people used typewriters. The 1960s rock and roll culture is what Tom Hanks wanted to focus on, and he made his one-hit wonder band filled with the hottest stars of the 90s. And today, you're still used to seeing these guys on your screens. Tom Everett Scott, Jonathan Sheck, Steve Zahn, and Ethan Embry are the band's members. And of course, Liv Tyler's there too as the band's fifth Onetter, and Hanks himself is their manager. The music, we're going to get into it in a question later. I'm saying it right now, fucking slaps. And that's because it was created by Tom Hanks himself, the late, great Adam Schlesinger, and Howard Shore, who would go on to score so many movies like Your Lords of the Rings. Blending reality and fiction, the band members all had to actually learn how to play their instruments in at least one song. I don't know which song, but one of the songs in the movies they did learn how to play. And also blending reality and fiction. Some people thought this was a biopic about a real band, probably because people are fucking stupid. Even though it was nominated for awards, it flopped. It flopped so hard. Even in the time where movies like this should not flop, this did not do well. But it is still remembered fondly by one Mike Gravano who watches it literally every year. Taste buds, I ask you this. The Thing You Do is a rock movie with next to no sex, violence, or any other tropes that propel the drama and the melodrama and the stereotypes of its ilk. Does this keep the movie from being compelling, or does it push it to risky greatness, Ryan?
Oh, what a use of risky greatness, Mike. No, it's very compelling because it's so light on its feet, both at its pace and its attitude, its tone, but it's so much character forward. And these are not tremendously three-dimensional characters, but they fit into their archetype so nicely, and they deal with each other so well that I didn't need Steve Zahn to buy some heroin halfway through the movie. Liv Tyler was heroin enough for me.
Yeah, if there was a sequel about the herdsman, that's what Jimmy's sequel would be all about, those hard drugs. And he'd be hanging out with the Beatles in India and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a way in which the extremely truncated version of the story like saves us from anything that like where we lose the innocence. This isn't like a Boogie Nights like turn of the decade type story where it's like, no, it was good, but then it got really bad, right? It's nothing like that. And
because of porn.
Because of Boogie Nights. And so like in a way that's part of how I felt like a little bit different about it as an older person watching it, I think, is it seemed nice that they didn't go down that avenue. Like it was that they only got to be a one-hit wonder, but they also only had to be a one-hit wonder. They got off the ride before it got too bad.
Which is what every band should do. Dewey, do you agree? Compelling in its lack of drama?
Wholesome, yes. Compelling, I've got to disagree with Ryan a little bit there. I think that the movie has this wonderful energy between a lot of its cast where, like you guys said, it's not about the sex and the drugs and everything. And there is some fun character moments, but there is also, like Ryan said, like a sort of lack of three-dimensional characters, even though they fit into their archetypes. They there's not a lot of like conflict throughout the movie. So I'd say it's very unique and it has a very wholesome energy, but I think it is held back in some ways.
In a
I
way,
just
it almost feels like manufactured that Jimmy wants out of the band. That doesn't feel like an organic thing that
Yes.
happens. It feels like completely like and it like not to be too down about it, but like just it feels like artificial conflict that he like pulls out right at the height of it all.
Like his twin Neo Jimmy just entered the room and shoved him in a closet and like, should have dumped you in Pittsburgh.
I mean, let's go even like with a Stu Man that we were talking about with the trailer. He's the one who introduces the band to Tom Hanks, and I think is it Shades who's like, no, Stu Man is our manager, and Stu Man's like, no, I was, but not anymore. Like, how often has that ever happened in the history of rock and roll?
I'm just
I
in
know
it for the stew money.
In a normal movie, right now would be our first real dramatic scene, but we're not having any of that. We're all lovable people. Goodbye. I do think I get what you're saying about Jimmy's turn, but I also think very early on he lets us know he's uncomfortable signing anything that has to do with his music. That is in Stu Man's van, so it's the seeds are planted, and I do think like his disdain, like he becomes a very modern man. Because men used to be great. His disdain for Faye even existing grows throughout the movie, and the more she's not there to just support him, she gets sick. The gall, the audacity on this chick to get sick. And
Did she get sick? They worked that in so organically.
She turned into Rudolph.
Her nose is bright red. She looks like Rudolph.
Yeah, if this was in the 1800s, she would have coughed into a white napkin and there'd be blood.
In any other movie, if somebody on the band's plane comes out of the bathroom and their nose is running and it's all red and their eyes are like glazed over, there's no way you're thinking, oh, this person has the sniffles.
That's the thing is, Faye was not sick. Faye got into coke before anybody else and just everybody.
Yeah, I think that the biggest component or propeller of the two-dimensionality is Jimmy by far. And I love the other four members of the band, so I'll include Liv Tyler in that. I love watching them together. I think that the best parts of this movie is when nothing's happening, when they're just at a table hanging out. The chemistry is like, it's TV show in that they look like they've been together for 4 seasons of a show.
Yes.
Not just one movie. But Jimmy is reduced to those tropes of like, oh, what time is it in the rock and roll movie? I need to say this now.
I care. No, I don't care. I want to make great music, but I don't actually know what that is. He made great Bones with a song. He didn't realize every song is better if you just speed it up.
Yeah. Also, if that Jimmy really existed, he would have stormed off the stage when Guy played it faster. Like the fact that people liked the song faster, he would have flipped out.
Yeah,
well, Diane hadn't gotten in his ear yet.
He's clearly anti-pop, and I guess it's always interesting when a movie does the like title cards at the end to tell you what happens, because not knowing what happened with him, you would really wonder if he ever did like make it, or if this was like the big regret of his life. It's a little bit different, I have to say, to think, well, he does go on to be in like a legit band, so maybe he in his own way is right. Like they're right about this one song, or Shades rather is right about this one song, but maybe overall Jimmy's like vision is the truer one, because the Herdsmen go on to have 3 gold records,
which is weird because Jimmy needs to be in the late 50s or the late 60s. Yes. And the fact that he's in 1964, which is a little brighter, is just dooming him, you know? Does anybody know what Lydia Tarr thought of The Wonders?
The very real person, Lydia Tarr, despised the very real band The Wonders.
That makes sense.
And she is on record, on vinyl. She put that on wax.
I hate this band.
Now, given that it is light on what so many biopics about quote unquote real bands have, is we complain about that shit all the time. Anytime there's a fucking Queen movie or Elton movie or Johnny movie, we're like, oh, cool, you're doing those same things, even though they were all very different people. So, like, how could this movie win?
No, it does. I think its angle is a winning angle. That it is telling a unique story for that reason. That it doesn't have to hit all the same notes, and that we don't have to see like the depths of despair. And I think that's like one of its major successes, really.
And I think that one of the advantages that we have at the time is that we all knew who the writer and director was and his persona as when he was a star in star vehicles and just around town when we would all hang out with him at the Trocadero. 90s were a crazy time. That this is like what we don't want to see is a carbon copy where the director doesn't matter. And this is the most Hanksian movie, a term that couldn't exist because this is his first one. And yet it feels like him through and through. Like if he made anything else than this, of just this light love letter, it would have felt false. So maybe he had Paul Thomas Anderson aspirations as a filmmaker, but that would fall on its face so flatly, you know?
Yeah, the only connection between Hanks and PTA is a later love for terrible wigs in movies.
And I bet they both like typewriters. Yeah.
Can I tell you something that I have trouble wrapping my mind around? I have seen this movie a few times. I've always liked it. I don't know that until I watched it this time. I knew that it was written and directed by Tom Hanks, but like, how could I not know that? It said, first of all, it says it right at the beginning, but I don't think I used to pay attention to who the writers or directors of movies like even were.
Yeah.
Especially when I was a kid. I'm not even sure that like I thought about that angle of movies at all. It was just actors. That's all I cared about was like certain actors that I liked. But seeing that right at the beginning through this view and then having that like at my viewing, it really is, that like sense of his niceness. He put that into like an entire universe and gave us like basically every character engaging in it.
While playing, and again, it's a movie of mostly good people, except for Charlize Theron, the owner of Playtone, and Jimmy. He plays one of the jerkier characters.
Guy's dad.
I love a jerky. Oh, Guy's dad is a fucking cartoon.
Yeah.
Ad of the year.
But I love slightly douchey Tom Hanks. You're a League of Their Own Tom Hanks. And even though he's just like, he's brusque, but he cares about these boys.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's very matter of fact as opposed to sniveling evil that, like, say, Paul Giamatti from the Brian Beach Boys movie. Or from Big Fat Liar. But so for every, like, brusque moment he has, he also has, like, I don't know, Jimmy, but I thought you had class. Like, still delivering those, like, very, I'm still your dad. I'm everyone's dad. I'm America's dad kind of lines. Dewey, I am only half joking when I ask you this. Before you watched this movie, did you know who Tom Hanks was?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Dude, Polar Express, iconic.
Yeah, say more about like what you think of him as from. So like Polar Express, what else? What else is Tom Hanks to you?
To my generation, he's Woody. I mean, he is Woody. He's Woody. He's all the characters, pretty much every character in the Polar Express.
So do you only know him kind of as a CGI voice guy?
It is really funny. I feel like my generation knows him almost like if you're more of a casual viewer, knows him for more like CGI voice stuff than. But I mean, you have your Forrest Gump. I mean, you have your Forrest Gump movies. You have your Green Mile.
Okay.
I mean, I mean, he's an icon. I think he's one of the greatest actors of all time, easily. I mean, he's just amazing. But
he also made COVID a household name.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's how we all knew it was real. Tom and Rita got it, people. All right, we have to take a quickest of breaks, and then we're gonna build a little mountain.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore is, of course, a mountain dedicated to the four most musically talented presidents this country has ever had the honor of having. We're going to do the same thing, but for the music of 1996. 4 musicians and/or bands will go on this mountain, and you know you're going to get a point, or maybe several, if your option is one of them. Let's start off with our guest, Dewey, having been -9 at this time. Who has to represent 1996 in music?
Who has to? I'll tell you who has to. It's
Frank Sinatra.
for sure. But in a close second after Frank Sinatra has to be Los Del Rio. I mean, Macarena? Are you kidding me? The song that transcends time and language.
I feel like you're making fun of our generation so hard right now, and I'm here
Look,
for it.
There's a lot of arguments for different artists we'll say tonight for being different years, but there's one artist who fucking has to be on the 1996 Mount Rushmore. And Dewdrop, gosh darn it, you got it. Los Del Rio's on the mountain.
Hey, Macarena.
All right. Greg?
They did it at the DNC. They did it at the DNC and the RNC. Politicians across. Bob Dole did the Macarena on stage.
We need another silly novelty dance song to really bring this nation together.
We had WAP.
No,
Nobody did that.
True.
What's the dance to WAP, Ryan?
You want me to show you right now?
Yeah, I would love it.
I am going to go with the artist that gave us Wannabe, Say You'll Be There, Two Become One. Of course, I'm talking about 1996 sensation, the Spice Girls.
So you were saying, even though traditionally this mountain is 4 heads, one of these 4 heads is 5 heads?
Yes.
No, I think that we should pick the head that gets it.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't want like a Frankenstein, like Emma's eyes, Jerry's nose.
No, I don't want you to talk about what's in my wet nightmares. I want us to pick one head. Recently, my 4-year-old went to preschool in a Spice Girls shirt, and none of her friends cared, but every teacher ran over and talked about it. Every single girl on there.
Your kid, based on who her parents are and that story, she's already going to be the kid who kids are fine with, but adults love. And it's only when you're like 23 do you realize that's the superpower. But most of your life, that's rough.
Can you not?
They had every type of girl. Sporty, sexy, scary, posh.
Ginger. I think Ginger's the obvious one, right?
Is that your specific predilection?
Yeah.
Because of your condition?
I think it is. Which one was Jerry Harwell?
That's
Ginger.
Okay, then yeah.
Oh, yeah. If it wasn't clear, Spice Girls are clearly also right on this mountain, which is not how I normally play. I like to play very coy, but they are right on this mountain.
You know what? Let's make it just Scary Spice.
Ambassador. Okay. A hard shift at the end, but yeah, let's
Yeah.
give it to one of the 2 actually good singers of this band. Let's give it to Scary.
Fun fact: Sporty Spice could not sing or play sports.
What?
Yeah.
You know what? That's the same with me.
Are you a Spice Girl?
All right, Ryan. Can we go 3 for 3 for getting somebody directly on this mountain?
I'm going to doubt it based on being on shows hosted by you before, but I'm going to pick somebody who was near and dear to my heart before. That's right. I had heard of him before. And all of a sudden, he was, him and his band were having mainstream hits all over every radio station, which was, I think, very strange for the creators of one of my favorite songs of all time, Mayonnaise. I think Billy Corgan's trio of pop songs, essentially, 1979, Tonight, others, definitely gets him in this mountain. And we save on building rock hair. Don't have to do that.
Rock hair does cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, this is rock. This is a rock of rocks.
Just bald rock.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Tonight, as referenced in I Saw the TV Glow from our Movie of the Year bracket.
That's not the year we're talking about now, Greg.
Damn it, Greg.
I lost track again, Mike.
We're in 1996 and Smashing Pumpkins is on this gosh darn mountain.
Oh, wow. It's getting crowded up there, guys.
Are we doing speed show tonight?
No, we are not. We're not. What are the kids calling you? Speed running, speed testing? What do you play?
You had me until you hit the word show.
Greg does drugs.
he has a little bit of a fey nose after the airport bathroom. No, now we're gonna really slow things down. Dewey, back to you. Who goes on this maybe pile right now?
Listen, I'm not even going to pretend like I think this is going to be on the Mount Rushmore, but that's okay because it should be on its own Mount Rushmore ahead of the Mount Rushmore we're creating. And that is the Mission Impossible theme song from Mission Impossible, released in 1996, which made it on the top 100 Billboard that year.
And you just knew that. I played the bongos in that song in high school band. Remember the famous bongo part of the song? Nobody else does.
Yes.
I love the idea of a competing Mount Rushmore that they build like farther down the road, so you get to the new one first.
Yeah.
Maybe this is good enough.
It's like how the Strip is doing casinos, where they're basically in California now because they just have to keep being first.
That's Teddy Roosevelt, Millard Fillmore, McKinley, and Bush Sr. That is a crazy Mount Rushmore. That is not who I thought was on here.
And it's not Millard Fillmore, it's Mallard Fillmore. It's the duck
The
comic
Ducks
strip
version.
that they put on there, yeah.
You know what? Mission Impossible theme song is not going to go directly on this mountain.
Damn it.
Let's see if it ends up there eventually. Ryan,
Yes. Is it Greg's turn?
I said your name, but sure, Greg, go. Greg, go twice right now.
Fuck.
Wow. It might be Ryan's turn, but you called on me. Isn't that ironic? I mean, Mike, you ought to know. And if you don't know, you learn until you're head over feet. It's Alanis Morissette. Jagged Little Pill came out. She taught us how to hate again.
Putting that many song titles in your response makes Greg a jagged little pill, if you ask me.
I was really waiting for how he was going to slam one hand in his pocket in the descriptions. Alanis Morissette, just based on drama, is not on the mountain yet. But Greg, give me another one.
I am going to go with Tupac, who did both California Love and How Do You Want It.
And
From the-
were these posthumously?
Was he gone already in
I
1996?
think he died at the end of 96.
Let me try to remember.
But the opening to California Love, just so iconic. California Love.
The beginning was with us.
He got shot on 9/13 or 9/11
96
of 96, yeah.
and died like 6 days later. Ryan, who do
Yes.
you want to give up your turn to this time? Or do you want to just fucking tell me who you think belongs on this mountain?
No, I will say someone who took the world by storm, along with his brother, but I'm going to only pick one. You guys always thought that the best Gallagher brothers were Gallagher and Gallagher 2, but it's actually Liam and Noel. I'm going with Noel.
Noel,
Noel.
Noel.
the Christmas Gallagher. You said a word dumb.
I'm done with this segment.
You didn't say it's Oasis, listeners. He's of course talking about Oasis. Listeners and Dewey, the Gallagher brothers.
Clarification.
All right, let's speed play the rest of this maybe pile. Dewey, give me two.
Okay, two. I'm gonna go with Hootie and the Blowfish and Mariah Carey.
That is a duo I would love to see. Greg, give me one.
Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters.
Look, it's not going on there, but do you have a point because I love it? Yeah. Ryan, give me two. I'm a fair man at the end.
Wow, Mike, thank you. Even though I swore to my Lord and Savior God that I would never speak on this segment again, my last two are Mariah Carey and Hootie and the Blowfish.
I don't know if you really are talking then because you're just repeating Dewey. Your Mount Rushmore of 1996 music is Los Del Rio, the Spice Girls, Smashing Pumpkins, and Alanis Morissette. That's 96 as fuck.
And Mission Impossible right next to it.
And yeah, Mission Impossible is just
One
hanging by a
exit
wire.
before.
Yeah.
Why don't we put a lit fuse going into our Mount Rushmore? That's the last time I'm talking on this segment.
Of breaks. And when we come back, the segment is over and Ryan can talk again. Taste buds, it could be argued that this movie hinges on whether or not the song, That Thing You Do, is actually a good song. So, is it? How does it sound now, decades later? And what about the other Onetter songs? Is there anything worth hearing here? Greg, let's start with you.
I think the song really holds up but this was the first time watching it where I thought very much by the end of the movie, you are supposed to be sick of it. And because like that's the life of the one hit wonder, right? That you hear it so much that like you love it when you first hear it, and it seems very clever and fun when you first hear it, and then it just like it gets a little worn out. I think there's a way in which the song is almost too catchy for that to really happen. But it just gets played so much under so many different circumstances. And like the movie itself, it's charming, but it feels ultimately like kind of shallow. It literally says nothing. Like it never names what that thing even is that the person, whoever it is even doing.
She breaks his heart into a million pieces, just like she always do. I don't understand what this is.
Yeah, I wonder if we had somebody who was much more knowledgeable about music, if they could trace how tight it is, like throughout the movie. Because obviously the first time they play it, or the second time, I guess, at the talent show, when Guy speeds it up, it is sloppy for a long portion of the song.
Yes.
And it's really being graded on talent show level, scale.
All the way up to Wicked, I believe her arm goes to.
And then eventually it gets super tight, but also just watching their faces as they play it. There's so much energy when they're at the pizza place, and then by the end it is just so rote. And that's nothing about the song. That's every artist. How could you play? How can Billy Corgan or Alanis Morissette play these songs so many times with any joie de vivre? But I think that I would say that this song should be studied in a lab like the music from Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that, where this guy tried to write a song that you could hear over and over again and you wouldn't go crazy. I think any other song, like if this song was even just like an A instead of an A+, this movie would have been awful. And it keeps the movie so good and so tight.
Dewey, having only heard about this movie this week, I assume this song wasn't present throughout your entire life, was it?
It was not. But listen, would this movie have been better if the song was Live and Learn from Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Okay, again, you child. I'm talking about the original Genesis games, not the movie.
I assume Live and Learn is an original song sung by Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, I wish. There should be a remix version of that coming to you soon.
Is
that a promise you're making?
Would it surprise you guys to learn that the song is only played 11 times in this movie, not 85?
11 sounds like so many, though.
Yeah. But watching it, I was just like, this is in this movie a lot more than I remember it being.
It's funny. It gets to I love it. It's so freaking catchy, and I fell in love with it again. I think after the movie finished, during it, like by the fourth or by like the sixth time, I was like, okay, guys. And then luckily they sprinkle in like two other songs, right? Yeah. Go back to shoving it down your throat like you're in a WAP music video.
And that means wet ass pussy, not Italian.
Yes.
Back up. What do we say?
Yeah. What's your favorite WAP WOP music videos, guys? What's your favorite for my people? That's Amore.
Let's move on because only Mike can talk about that. I think the other thing that the movie gets correct is we don't remember. Maybe Dewey does, but it's hard to remember how when you're high school, maybe late middle school, early high school, the way that you listen to music is you've got about 6 songs, whether it's the radio or because that's what you can afford, and you play the ever-living shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like they were all paying $1, which in 2025's numbers is $225,000 for an album that had That Thing You Do and a B-side. And they were going to play the ever-living hell out of that because that's just how you listen to music when you're a kid, is you fall in love with some aspect of it. And a huge part of it is its poppiness or catchiness. And then it's all you listen to.
I think it's also the right song for the story because the song is very drum forward. Mm-hmm. And the band then takes on the personality of Shades. He kind of like Guy makes them play it at that tempo. He becomes like one of the most famous elements of the band. And also when you first hear specifically the drum beat, that's what really gets your attention. But the more you listen to it, the more you're like, it's kind of repetitive. And so it also is, it could be argued, I don't think it feels this way, but it could be argued it's a weakness of the song. And it is, again, like kind of like just a shallowness to it. And so I think it marries up with the action of the movie very effectively.
And wouldn't it feel so false for a drummer to become the star of a band and to shoot that band into upper echelons. Except
you heard of the
2 years
Carpenters,
later.
baby?
Oh, cool! Interrupting me. That's
Sorry.
I was clearly building to something, but that's fine. No worries. It's Travis Barker, Blink-182. No, yeah, Dewey, you and Ryan got points for that for sure.
Wait, Travis Barker never became. Never mind, Mike. You're totally right, and I think that you're the smartest about music ever.
What is the B-side you would want, and did any of them stick in your head? Another song by The Wonders. And if you can't answer that, let's just zoom out from the Oneaters. And does the movie create a believable sonic world that runs parallel with our real world? Because none of these songs are real.
Honestly, Mike, if we're talking honestly right now, the B-side I would choose is The Back because it comes with the stinger, and I'm gonna hurt people with that.
The song they play at the state fair, and like Steve Zahn is like the singer. That one I thought was very good, and I was like, I would do more of this song in particular.
Is it Little Wild One?
As a kid, and yes, it was, Ryan. It was Little Wild One. And after, like, look, as a kid, I had the soundtrack. I'm pretty sure my family went and bought it the minute this movie was done, which is the goal of the movie. Is you already know this one song. Little Wild One is my favorite Oneaters song. If you can't say that thing you do, that song fucking rips.
Also, this is adorable, and we could talk about it because there's no trivia tonight, right, Mike?
Yes.
That the liner notes of the album does treat this full Lydia Tarr style, where it's just the band was real. There's no like Universal Pictures or whatever. It's Tom Hanks has a note in it, or Tom Hanks' character. All the characters have little passages in it.
Even the opening credits song, "Loving You Lots and Lots," that's like the old sound that the Wonders are going to blow out of the water.
Yeah,
it's not a real song. It's Tom Hanks as the Norm Wooster Singers.
That's all of them.
Yes, it's all of them. They just like duplicated his voice. I don't know.
Polar expressed it.
But like from the Chanterlines to Freddie Fredrickson, who is like famous for singing a James Bond type theme song, and that's his one song we get to hear, Mr. Downtown. They build a whole Playtone universe of songs here, and this album slaps.
I've driven through the main drag that the opening was filmed in, and it still looks like this today.
Really?
Yeah, it's like they just decided that this is going to be our thing. I'm sure if we did some research, a ton of movies were there because you just get to shoot there for free.
They only let cars from that era drive down the main street.
It's like Cuba.
What town is this?
I think it's Montrose, California, which is just way north of LA.
Yes. Montrose, California. I believe Montrose is where one of Josh Chan's cousins come from, and the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, when he's listing all of his people, and they're all from all the outskirts of LA, your West Covenas, your Montroses. Also connected, Adam Schlesinger wrote all the songs. For most
What a
of the
tiny
songs.
little world.
That guy ruled.
What movie did we do? Spinal Tap. We did last season, right?
Yeah.
In '84. And that was the same thing of them tackling even in Spinal Tap, like that, both Spinal Tap and That Thing You Do are comedies. But when they go to recreate music of the past, it's not necessarily for jokes. It's for fucking dead on balls accuracy. And when Spinal Tap was doing their folk era, or when we hear that Norm Reeves, Honda Superstore, whatever the first band was, Mike, the Tom Hanks one, like it's not about jokes. Yeah. It's like it's to pay homage to these genres, you know?
What does any song or musical moment here stand out as trash? Is there anything that is jarring that feels like it is not supposed to, like they're going for the same thing as the rest and it didn't click?
They have a third song, not the one at the state fair. And in that one, I feel like it's like more ballady, like Jimmy likes. I guess it's the B-side one they have. And it really shows off the fact that he's singing in a kind of strained falsetto, which I feel like you don't really notice in the song That Thing You Do. But it's really like, oh yeah, he's at the absolute like top of like his voice. And it's very nasally. And I think it honestly makes That Thing You Do sound worse because you realize, oh yeah, his voice is like not that good.
Where if you want to sing That Thing You Do the best, you go even more nasally, even faster, and sing it like New Found Glory.
I mean, if you're Mr. White, don't you see all of this coming and cut Jimmy out as soon as possible? You know, make Guy the leader and
Yeah.
you know that Zahn and Embry are going to follow with whatever, or they're very replaceable, and then you
And
just
Zahn
have them
can
do
sing.
pop songs. Yeah, and
It's
just, like,
weird. It's weird because he very much like Guy is like very much his protege, but in the thing at the end, Jimmy is much more like him. He becomes a producer, and it almost feels like secretly Mr. White. And I had this weird invasive thought because that line from the Elvis movie where he goes, "He's white," and in this he's called Mr. White. So it's like I had this like constant invasive thought of like those two things back and forth. But like he ends up, it's almost like the whole movie is about him not capturing, but like really signing Jimmy more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like landing Jimmy to be the herdsman guy.
And I would have signed 2 contracts. Jimmy, you go this way. The Wonders, you go this way. Mike, to answer your question from before, it's Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters. That is absolutely
Hell yeah.
trashiest music scene of the entire movie. Not even Goofball can save that scene.
Invaded. Dewey, do you have a moment that stuck out poorly musically?
No, I don't have a musical moment that stuck out poorly, but I got some stuff for you down the line.
All right, you keep that locked and loaded. We'll get to that real soon. Right now, we're going to take the quickest of breaks, and we come back talk about the Wonders actors and how they did it in the rest of their career. All right, as we so often do here at Movie of the Year, we like to take a beat and look at the career of the star of the film. But the problem is, there's 4 Onetters and 1 Liv Tyler. And we all know Liv Tyler is going to do just fine. So let's look at the trash heap that is the careers of Ethan Embry, Tom Everett Scott, Steve Zahn, Jonathan Sheck, and figure out what the best movie is and what went wrong. What went wrong with these 4 boys? That one we'll have to figure out on the way. It's less scientific, but everything else is very scientific. We're doing a bracket.
Some good TV work here from some of these gentlemen.
Come on, don't trash my boy Steve Zahn and Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Because it's not how it's pronounced. It's Steve Zahn. Please do it correctly.
Stevenson. Your first battle. An American Werewolf, wait, in London. Nope, wait, again, in Paris. The 1997 remake, requel, starring Tom Everett Scott, hot off of That Thing You Do, is going up against the Ryan Trackman here, the 1980 when did
91.
Dutch come out? 1991, a very young, very pompous, stick up his ass Ethan Embry's Dutch.
Ethan Embry's
Y'all remember Dutch?
I don't know if you guys grew up with an American Werewolf in Paris, but Dutch was one of the most important movies to me growing up. It had Al Bundy and the kid from That Thing You Do. Can't remember his name. And there was a scene where they went to a fireworks factory.
Yes.
And they dropped like $3,000.
Yes. It's as exciting as Milhouse imagined getting to the fireworks factory would be. Thank you, Ryan, for pointing out that that's what that movie is, because I was just going to go with Werewolf. But Dutch actually had a lot of heart. Also, I believe there's a deck of nudie cards.
Yes, there is.
And you can see one of the ladies' boobs briefly, which was a big deal for 1991 Greg.
In 1991, that was essentially Pornhub.
Yeah, well, when you're 10, like your options are very limited. So let's watch the Ed O'Neill movie again.
I total tangent. I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about like, is 10 too young to have the sex talk? No, what Greg just said is accurate. 10-year-old boys are going to search out boobs. Have that talk, especially because now they have a fucking computer that's plugged straight into Pornhub in their pocket because you fucking spoil your kids. Have the sex talk young, guys.
I thought you were saying show your 10-year-old Dutch, which I totally back up. But
no, but yeah, I didn't see Dutch until I was 37 years old, and that's so sad for most of my life.
Do you guys remember pulling out an encyclopedia, looking up boobs, and then it says, see mammary glands, you perv?
Yes. Dewey, we're going to start the vote with you based on just our descriptions.
Yeah.
It's Shades fighting an American werewolf, but that werewolf is in Paris, versus Dutch, the bass player, and Ed O'Neill, who the grandpa from Modern Family, doing a Thanksgiving road trip.
Listen, because of the groundbreaking nudity that was mentioned for Dutch, I have to give it to the clearly more crafted and more meaningful movie Dutch.
Right, guy?
Dutch.
Greg?
Dutch for sure.
Dutch moves on.
Guess we're the Dutch brothers.
I don't get why those coffee lines are so long. The coffee is fine.
People love lines, Mike. If there's a long enough line, people just flock to it.
That's what it is. People want to complain about it because they also love complaining. That's part of the line process. Up next, Jonathan Sheck's turn. Greg, you said some of these guys have great TV. This is one time we're talking about TV tonight.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Sheck's multiple TV show run as Jonah Hex.
I'm sorry.
Legends of Tomorrow.
John Shex played Jonah Hex.
John Sheck's played Jonah Hex. Everybody wants to play Connect. Is that
Have
a game?
sex. You could have sex. Have sex.
Oh yeah, that.
Do that though.
Isn't it yucky?
Why have
Do you know this character? Because you already dropped a Barry Allen reference, Matt. Do you? Sorry, I said your real name, Dewey. Do you know who Jonah Hex is?
I
From
don't.
the Arrowverse. Oh man, imagine Jimmy from That Thing You Do with like a scarred mouth face and a cowboy hat. He's
Ooh,
great.
gotcha.
It's going up against what some have called the most that movie of our generation, Steve Zahn's Saving Silverman from 2001.
Now look, listen, touch and watch. I, as a member of the TBS generation, I have seen Dutch 1,000 times, and I've seen Saving Silverman, a terrible movie, thousands of times. This is where we get the phrase "come on, yeehaw," and of course, if it's all one, then it's all one nacho. If it's
If the nachos are stuck together, then that's one
Then it's
nacho.
all-
If you're
then
gonna
it's
quote
nacho.
it, quote it right.
I'm sorry I missed the Saving Silverman quote, but what a memorable, terrible piece of shit, incredible movie.
Wait, what? It's an incredible movie, even though it's a terrible piece of shit. Is that what
That's just how TBS movies work, dude.
Yeah, I feel like it was important to a generation of people, not because it was good, but just because it was on.
I miss those days. What? They're in a Neil Diamond cover band. Is that right?
Yep.
This
And
is
is it-
Jason Biggs, Steve Zahn, and Jack Black
Yes, it is.
versus Amanda Peet.
Is it Amanda Peet?
Yeah.
She was the bad lady, like the bad girlfriend in many movies back then. Yeah, it's Amanda Peet.
It's because she was a strong woman with opinions, and
Yeah.
2001 men were not into that. All right.
In that movie, does she say that she likes the Arby's burger, the Big Montana, which is like their biggest pile of roast beef? I
No,
believe
what?
so. Check, listeners, check me on that.
Asked and answered, both from Greg. All right. It's voting time. The Neil Diamond tribute movie or cowboy Scarface anti-hero, Greg?
I'm gonna go Saving Silverman, Mike, and the Big Montana at Arby's.
Dewey?
Why not make it a meal, Arby's?
So you're telling me Saving Silverman has both Steves and Jack Black?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've never had a quicker yes ever.
You're imagining a good movie. That's very sweet.
Ryan?
Oh, it's Jonathan Hex, but I guess that doesn't matter.
No, but you do get a point for voting correctly on that one, Ryan. All right, next up is I believe, if I am reading my notes correctly, two of our wonders are in this movie, both as a dad. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is something I don't know. He got so happy. Listeners, he's fist pumping. He's so
My
pumped.
time has come.
Please tell us, old heads, what the fuck Diary of a Wimpy Kid is.
Oh my goodness, a beautiful trilogy, something that all 2000s kids can remember if they had a childhood. If not, then may their childhood rest in peace. But yeah, Steve Zahn is the main character's dad for all three of those movies. He is the best part of 2 out of 3 of those movies, arguably 3 out of 3 of those movies. Just an absolute weirdo, just the weirdest dad you could ever imagine, which is what most of our dads are. So he's perfect. Yes, just oh my gosh, so memorable, such a great.
What's like a weird thing that he does?
He's his kids playing video games, and so he gets angry at him, unplugs the TV, sees his other kid laughing at the fact that his kid is in trouble, and then he punishes him too, and he goes, "Oh, who's the laugher? I'm the laugher now. I'm the laughingest laugher that's ever laughed." Just and it's
That is
just
a good dad line.
yes. Just every scene he's in is something like that. It's amazing.
I'm learning now that this is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid and not Diarrhea of a Wimpy Kid. What I thought it was.
I thought only wimpy kids had diarrhea.
Yeah.
Being one of them myself. It's going up against 1995's Empire Records, starring
Shut it
Ethan
down.
Embry
Shut it
as,
down.
Mark with a C, so his band Mark is spelled with a K, of course. Dewey and listeners, two of us were in a pop punk cover band who did the main song from Empire Records. So yeah, let's see which way this vote's gonna fucking go. Greg.
Empire Records, another in the Liv Tyler catalog as well, right?
And Liv Tyler.
Everything you could want in a movie.
I mean, like, if you want to know what it was like to go through puberty in the mid 90s, look at the cover of Empire Records. That blue sweater, short skirt she's wearing. Dewey's looking it up right now. Incredible. Yeah, let's vote and pretend this is a fucking battle.
Okay, let me make one more argument. You will never see another movie where Steve Zahn is reenacting the Civil War unless you watch Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
By himself?
Pretty much, yeah, with all his little figurines.
Also, Ryan, imagine the SEO when we say that our movie is Diary of the Wimpy Kid, and now where YouTube views are popping off because people are like, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, huh? I'll check this out.
Exactly.
Goddamn SEO gods. Okay, Ryan, your vote.
Empire Records.
Dewey, your vote.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, all the way.
And Greg, your vote.
Greg, the main character of Diary of a Wimpy Kid is Greg. Greg, come on.
There's a Greg in pop culture?
I am going to. You know what? Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Why not?
What
Son of a
Yeah.
bitch.
Yeah.
Loves SEO now.
Yeah.
Now this whole bracket is bunked because the winner is just gone.
Yeah. There we
Never
go.
get sugar high.
No, how clever to name the Wimpy Kid Greg. Well, how creative.
They knew this moment would come.
I've redeemed Greg's everywhere.
All right. Up next is maybe a redemption for Jonathan Sheck, who's had nothing move on. It's 1995's The Doom Generation.
Oh,
We
damn.
all, of course, remember. Ryan, you actually seem to remember this movie, so tell us a little bit what it is.
Yeah, this is sort of like other people's train spottings. Maybe not mine, but like this is Greg Araki, this is Rose McGowan, this is, flashy, cool MTV editing of the mid 90s.
I love flashy, cool MTV editing. It is going up against, I believe, the latest in the films for Steve Zahn, War of the Planet of the Apes. He plays Bad Ape, everybody. He's the Bad Ape. He's the main Bad Ape.
What?
Don't call him Monkey.
He was method acting.
I thought that was legit a monkey.
Aren't they all monkeys?
He really sank into the part.
It was actually a chimp Zahn Z.
I feel like I've been excited about each one of those Planet of the Apes movies, and then I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened in any of them, or like have any memories of what goes on in them.
I mean, don't you just think that that's how franchises work? Like,
Yeah,
if you were like, oh, remember that? What's that Harry Potter movie where this scene happened? I don't.
The Prisoner of Azkaban, Ryan. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's not that one. That's the good
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't thinking about the one good one. All right. Is it Doom Generation or War of the Planet of the Apes? Greg?
I guess I'm gonna go War of the Planet of the Apes because I don't even remember what Doom Generation was.
MTV, flashy editing. Jonathan Sheck needs to...
No, I remember what you said about it, but I have no other memory.
That's fair. And Dewey?
I think I'm gonna go with Doom, not for the movie, but for the video game that I have in my mind when I picture Doom, and so I'm picturing that as the movie.
Cool. I'll take it. But The Rock is actually in a terrible version. That is that movie. Ryan?
I'm going to go Planet of the Apes. It's a good franchise, and let's get Jonathan Shake out of here. Let's have him quit, Mr. White.
All right. Next up is a movie that I used to love but have not seen, so cannot stand behind it because it came in 98, so I cannot say whether it holds up or is incredibly problematic. starring Tom Everett Scott. It's Dead Man on Campus. It's Tom Everett Scott. It's Zach Morris. They find out a loophole in their college that if they get a roommate that kills himself, they get straight A's for the rest of the semester.
I'm pretty
So
sure Greg
they-
and I saw this in theaters together.
What they do is try to get the most mentally unbalanced people to move in with them and then try to slowly push them to kill themselves. And let me tell you, listeners, it's a comedy.
You don't think this? You're not sure if this is problematic today?
I don't know. Who knows? I know a very young Jason Segel's in it. I know a very young, the guy who was Betty's dad in Riverdale, who became the serial killer, is in it. And that's all I had to say about that. It's going up against 2002's Sweet Home Alabama. And let's say Ethan Embry's in this one.
Is that the one with the line, "You have a baby in a bar"?
You brought a baby to a bar.
Oh man, that's gonna be hard to beat. That's a solid line.
I think that both of these movies probably are disgusting to watch today.
And like would
Fine,
make
bring a
you
baby in a
legit
bar.
sad.
Yeah.
I bet like watching both of these movies or either one of these movies would make you like feel worse about yourself and about the world by the time the credits rolled.
And
But
they're both
D-
comedies meant to bring
DMOC is older. DMOC is what we used to call it in '98. Is older, so I'm going to give that my vote because it has less to apologize for.
What else does Sweet Home Alabama have to apologize for?
You don't even want to hear it.
Okay, but babies in bars, I guess. Dewey, what's your vote?
I'm just picturing, after you described DMOC, I'm just picturing Jason Segel, who I know from the Muppets movie that I just watched. I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
imagining him slowly going insane and talking to like Muppets on his hand in that movie. So I'm gonna go with DMOC. I gotta go with DMOC.
All right. Greg, it doesn't matter, but what's your vote?
What were my choices again, Mike?
DMOC or Sha, Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh yeah, Sweet Home Alabama, "Baby in a Bar." That's a great line. It's a classic.
All right. Next up, it's Prom Night from 2008, the remake. Jonathan Check's in this one, starting his long career of horror movies now, versus another horror movie, 2001's Joyride, starring Steve Zahn, who plays the brother of the late Paul Walker. They piss off a trucker. Trucker wants to kill him.
Like Duel.
I was
Like Duel.
yeah, what?
Joyride is a legit movie by a legit director.
I say Joyride, Mike.
Joyride for Greg. Do it.
It's legit.
I'm going with Joyride. It's legit too.
Too legit.
And Ryan.
Joyride moves on.
All right. Next up is Tom Everett Scott's latest movie. It's La La Land from 2016. I do believe he plays the
He plays
Guy.
Guy, a jazz lover who marries Emma. Like, isn't this a sequel?
This is the sequel. He's
He
much
dumped Liv Tyler for Emma.
younger than he should be from the 60s to here.
Okay.
And it's going up against I don't know, a little movie from 1998 starring Ethan Embry as Preston Myers called Can't Hardly Wait. It's all about the memories, man. It's all about the memories. Is it La La Land or Can't Hardly Wait, Greg?
La La Land, Mike.
You son of a bitch.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm
I thought
sorry.
the one vote I could get.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
One of these movies holds up, and it's not fucking La La Land. Dewey?
I'm picking the movie that can't hold up. I'm picking La La Land. Oh my gosh, that's one of the movies that makes me want to do musicals. I love it so much.
The music's so bad in it. Ryan?
It's I gotta say I love a segment that Mike created where we watch Empire Records and Can't Hardly Wait go down in flames in the first round. It's La La Land.
This is my version of getting cucked. All right. It is Hush. Ryan, if I say Hush, what does that mean to you?
Hush is a movie I saw in theaters. I think it's 1998, where Jonathan Schick is a husband to Gwyneth Paltrow, and I want to say, oh man, he has a mother-in-law, his mom just takes
Ew.
over the family, takes over the baby, and it turns out that it's a recognizable actress that I will look up when I'm talking, while I'm talking, but Gwyneth Paltrow walks in, and her mother-in-law is breastfeeding the baby. That's the main thing I remember. Jessica Lange.
Dang.
How could she?
Jinx.
Awful movie.
Yeah. Awful movie?
Awful.
And not just for the awful message, because it was pro Lang.
Awful for so many reasons.
It is going up again. It's 2005 Sahara, starring Steve Zahn as the wacky sidekick to Matthew McConaughey, pre-McConaissance, known only for its poster of them looking like fools in the desert. Yep, that's it, Ryan. That's the pose. Dewey, what are you doing? Hush or Sahusher? Like that. I try to make it a thing. It's not a thing. Hush or Sahara?
I gotta go with. I'll go with Hush. Just to piss Ryan off because he doesn't support breastfeeding.
that's Ryan's issue with that part. Ryan, and what's your vote?
I feel like Sahara was so close to maybe Mike being your next The Mummy. It just didn't click on all cylinders, but I'm still going Sahara. And I support breastfeeding, just in case anybody's wondering.
I was wondering. And Greg?
I love that was your takeaway from that whole thing, was that he doesn't support. I'm going to go with Sahara. That way we don't have to talk about the subject matter anymore of the other one.
Sahara moves on. All right, now we got to do these fast. Dutch versus Saving Silverman. Ryan?
Dutch.
Dewey?
Saving Silverman.
Greg?
Dutch.
Dutch moves on. Diary of a Wimpy Kid versus War of the Planet of the Apes. Dewey?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
This is Zon on Zon action. Greg?
War of the Planet of the Apes.
Ryan?
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Get out of here. It's War of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh. But at least we get an of still moving on. War of the Planet of the Apes. Next up, it's Dead Man on Campus versus Joyride. Ryan?
Joyride.
Greg?
Experts say Joyride is legit, Mike. Joyride.
I've heard that. I've heard it's too legit. Dewey?
The experts all agree. Joyride is legit.
Joyride was made by John Dahl, who made The Last Seduction. You guys remember that movie? Or Red Rock West? No? Okay.
Nope. Those are fake movies. La La Land versus Sahara. Dewey?
La La Land.
Ryan?
La La Land.
Greg?
Yeah, La La Land for sure.
All right, your semifinals are Ethan Embry's Dutch versus Steve Zahn's War of the Planet of the Apes. Ryan?
I love how we've kicked directors out of this, and it's just That Thing You Do's actors movie. I love the Patusa Planet of the Apes series. I'm going Dutch here, guys.
Dutch gonna pay for half. Dewey?
I'll go Planet of the Apes. Put the pressure all on Greg. It's up to you, man.
I am going to go Dutch, Mike. Ed O'Neill can't be beat, even by a whole planet of apes.
Unless a fat woman comes into the shoe store.
Oh my gosh. No pig.
Next up, it's Steve Zahn's Joyride versus Tom Everett Scott's La La Land. Greg?
Oh, La La Land.
Ryan?
Greg, despite Joyride being legit.
I heard it was legit, but that can only take you through so many rounds.
Last Seduction? Red Bear Blur? Anything to you?
It's La La Land. And no, I'm not going to in 1 second say Moonlight. I'm just going to leave it at La La Land.
And Dewey?
La-dee-dee-da land.
Your final battle is, and didn't we always know that Steve Zahn and Jonathan Sheck were not going to be in the finals? It's Ethan Embry, a.k.a. TB Player, which means the bass player. That's the character's name in That Thing You Do, is Dutch, versus Tom Everett Scott's Guy as Tom Everett Scott's Guy in La La Land. Dewey?
The perfect ending Guy could ask for, stealing Emma Stone away from Ryan Gosling, going with La La Land.
Ryan?
Tom Everett Scott is in like 30 seconds of this movie. I'm going Dutch, bitch.
And Greg?
La La Land.
Yes, what? No, that's bullshit. Can I get double votes right now? Am I allowed to vote? This sucks. One of the worst movies on this list fucking won.
It's fun. It's a fun movie.
Tom Everett Scott. I love musicals, and I love these actors. What a bad musical. That is all the time we have. We're going to take the quick breaks. I'm going to go pout, and when we come back, more That Thing You Do. Taste buds, as lovable and charming and Hollywood's nice guy as he is, Tom Hanks may be responsible for more boomer porn than any other star. Is That Thing You Do thrown on top of that pile? Or is there something that separates it from the likes of Forrest Gump or The Post or A Man Called Otto or The Da Vinci Code? Don't ask about it. It's Born Mode Porn too. Dewey, what do you think?
I think boomer porn. Can you define boomer porn for me real quick?
I was going to ask you two and what you think it meant, but yeah, I can define boomer porn. It's definitely of I don't know. I wish there was a phrase that was on a bunch of horrific tip of people's tongues, like back when America was great or something like that. It's just all about how the good old days were the good old days and people were people and everything was done with a wink and a smile and deals were just a handshake.
Now, Mike, that can't fit on a hat, but if you keep working on it, I think you can get there.
All right, I'll keep working. And I think red really pops, even though nobody's skin color looked good with it.
I think that I don't think it's boomer porn in that way. I think that it's certainly wholesome. We pointed out like the manager being like, oh, "I'm not your manager anymore. You guys got it," and how funny that is. But I think that like that's also kind of like it's fun because we said it's different from other movies, whereas that would be such a big plot point. It's kind of glossed over because it's like, let's do something else. I certainly have a lot of opinions on this film. I might not think it's the deepest, but I can't say it's not unique. It is unique in how it's structured. I think it's unique in its wholesome energy and just yeah, so I don't think it would fit on a hat with your one statement.
Oh, if we started making red hats that said that thing you do, just a battle back MAGA, I wonder if that would work. I think the thing that saves this for me from boomer porn is we barely talked about him earlier, but it's Guy's dad. And something that I forgot from when I was a kid and saw this was that I thought these kids were all in high school. He is returned from war. He did tour. He is the oldest of the four, or the five, including Giovanni Ribisi. But like, these kids are a little bit older, and Guy's dad fucking hates his son. Like, hates his son. And just the fact that like these kids who are not good or bad, right? Like they're not, they're not the Sex Pistols, but they're also not like golly gee 50s, 60s sitcom sort of characters. It's just that the one timeless thing that will go on for all of humanity is the previous generation hates your guts and only says they want you to succeed more than them, but they're lying.
Would you rather be hated by Guy's dad or neglected and ignored by Guy's dad like Guy's
because I was born as a girl? Yeah.
No, I mean, I think the dad rules over that family like a authoritarian dictator. I mean, this is the world that boomers do want to return us to, where like a father owns his family. The daughter doesn't talk because she's like in a stunned silence.
Do you know what? You know what it reminded me of, especially with the wife, because I think the wife has two lines of dialogue. Is Chris Cooper's wife? What's her name from West Wing and I, Tonya? From American Beauty, yeah, just like catatonic state of wifehood. That's it. That's your entire job, is to just say nothing.
And you can see when there is, in the presence of the father, when there is something like annoying going on, you can see the way the daughter and the mom constantly like shoot furtive glances at him to like gauge his emotional like state. And I think that in a movie that is so cutesy, and the dad comes around, I guess he's like won over by the TV appearance, and so he softens and suddenly like does like think that that what Guy is doing is worthwhile.
Which is a classic cool stage dad move. Like, yeah.
But until that point, he's like a quasi, I don't know, not to put too fine a point on it, but just like, you see the kind of like the way his family reacts to him, and it's like they're semi-traumatized by exposure to him.
The worst thing Guy does is forget to turn the lights off sometimes, and this dad has narc fucking spies who drive around, and like Guy is doing the books in the middle of the night, and then he takes breaks and plays drums, and his dad is so pissed that how dare you have an interest? How dare you have? Are we selling records here, mother? I don't know. I don't think we do. Never trust somebody who calls their wife mother.
Oh, that's
Mike.
Fun to grow on. I think that it's the perfect sort of awful dad in that he has this image of perfection, and it's not like, oh, everyone's happy, so it's okay, even though it's not my ideal. If it's not my ideal, I'm upset.
Right.
And it's the kind of fatherhood that says, if I ever congratulate you on succeeding in anything, that will worsen you.
Right.
So it's my job to just always find fault with every single thing you're doing.
Which is super, that without them even saying it, he was in Korea or something, because that is militaristic.
That is why I think this There's many reasons it separates from the boomer horde, because it's not just lionizing. Past one, it's all fake. Versus those other movies we mentioned are like, no, this is about real people, and they only did good, and the good things were good, and everything was good back then. But it feels like Tom Hanks knew boomers would love this and be like, yeah, the good old days. And then he was putting Magadad in here as a wink to non-boomers to be like, no, I get it. Like, it was not that great. Magadad and the owner of Playtone Records. For the people who run entertainment were always disgusting.
But you know what seems almost like straight up boomer porn though is the character of Lamar, the like concierge guy, who's like one of the only people of color in the movie at all, and like
that is like a jazz musician basically.
And okay, yeah, no, there is Del Paxton, but like I do feel like there is something like very distinctly 1990s about that character of Lamar, and it's like a view of race that I think boomers are really comfortable with, and it's like it's kind of just not discussed at all, the fact that like, but and yet he's like, he breaks the fourth wall. He's like always knows the answer to every problem. You can't imagine him not at work. You can't imagine him like going back to his family. It doesn't seem like he's got any sort of reality like that to him.
Oh, he lives to help white people and not his job, but like
he bounces from white person to white person. Yeah. Like, you know, here's what we're going to do now. I'll just like come up with a solution for this, and then moves on to the next.
He's a bad apple because he's not helping Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right, that's what that sound means. It's speed round. Taste buds, what is that thing you do? Does the movie ever explain it? Who is you? Is it the same one as the thing Meatloaf wouldn't do when he claimed he would do anything for love?
So is it in Meatloaf's song? It was Cunnilingus?
Yeah, Meatloaf was singing as DJ Khaled.
I remember we looked this up once, and the answer was so dissatisfying. He's basically like, "It's all bad things that I wouldn't do."
Yeah,
it's like, well, that's
a horseshit cop out.
That's more than one thing.
You're 17 and have your first like relationship, and you're like, I would never do anything, but it doesn't. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. How is that for love, Meatloaf?
Yeah, but Mike, admit that your favorite song of all time would be called "I Would Do Anything for Love," but I won't do that thing you do.
Yes, I would love that. Rolls off the tongue, which Meatloaf wouldn't know shit about. I don't want to ruin our best performance award, so let's focus on the group. If we had a best ensemble award at the end of the season, would that thing you do have it locked down?
I kind of want to make one after watching this movie.
Yeah.
Can we add a Moody?
We're the fucking arbiters.
Well, I mean, there's paperwork, right? There's bureaucracy. Like, we have to go to the board and stuff. But I don't know. Like,
the bureaucrats all got fired last
Yeah, no, Elon's been on our system now. Producer Dave got let go.
Oh, man. So his $250,000 a year salary, do we get that back in our pot, or does Elon get that?
Elon gets that. Yeah, we've got a contract with Starlink now.
Do we ask you this? Is there anybody who didn't fit into this ensemble? Is there anybody who stuck out in the movie who didn't jive?
No, maybe. I mean, Jimmy doesn't, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes.
Jimmy's just a wet rag.
You somehow turned that into one of the most devastating.
No, dude, yeah, but that was the most upsetting thing you could say, and it was wet rag, but just there was so much emphasis on it. That guy just shuddered wherever he is.
Dude, the jazz parts of this movie sound like we're getting old.
Yeah, this is my first time watching it where I was like, ooh, yeah. Oh, like during the jazz scene, and I was just like, oh man, this is the most 40+ thing you've done in a while. Just sort of like melodically or like rhythmically snap it as the jazz goes.
I mean, it didn't do anything to argue against the fact that it is the absolute, if I could play any instrument, the absolute easiest genre to play, right? Like, you can just do whatever you want. Like, I know that sounds stupid, but it seems so easy.
I think the whole movie puts the lie to the term "play a song on the drums." Come on, you can't play a song on the drums. And you just hit the drums.
No, if Guy did, you know exactly what song he's playing.
But like, Guy lays something down real quick, doesn't even know there's a producer in the room, and the producer's like, "Oh, drummer, what did you call that?" And he's like, "Oh, that was called Panzer Dragoon." Like, That
It's
was
called "I'm Spartacus" because that's the phrase he always says about
Right.
everything.
Which-
But then Del Paxton comes in. He's like, "Hey, play that again." I went back because the first time I was like, "Well, he plays a completely different thing because it doesn't fucking matter." Because you're right, it doesn't fucking matter. But I do think jazz might be like how heavy metal is to me. I'm like, I bet if I knew anything about music,
Yeah.
I'd be very impressed with what's going on right now.
Or like hockey is to me. If I knew any of these rules, it's probably impressive, but I don't.
Punch each other more.
Yeah. That
In all
jazz
three of
players should punch each other more.
Greg, I'm glad you brought up snapping because is there a better improvised song in filmic history than "I Quit"? I quit. I quit. I quit, Mr. White.
I love the Mr. White at the end. That really, like, if you got through the whole song and you didn't realize that he wasn't just singing a ditty, that he was actually delivering a message, he just said right at the end, very straightforward, "I quit, Mr. White. I'm not going to cook meth with you anymore."
The bitch. The bully from A Christmas Story has the most punchable face in Hollywood history. I know that because listeners, I look like him, but I would say that the second most punchable face is Jimmy's in this movie, and that is his most punchable moment.
The
Yes,
only
dude.
time he looks happy
Yeah.
when he's being the biggest prick. Does this movie do more for drummers and to the girls they can get than any other movie ever?
I mean, Ringo is the like on the Rushmore of drummers, already the lamest person to ever live. Mike, you brought up Travis Barker. Like, come on. If you don't play guitar or sing, you need to get the fuck out of here.
It does seem, I would say that thing you do is the anti-whiplash in that it makes drumming seem very easy and it won't ruin anything. It'll only make your life better, which Whiplash took and said no, the opposite of all of that. What does it mean that Guy is obsessed with Spartacus?
See another movie, dude.
Dewey, what do you got to say?
Great freaking question. I was asking myself that whole time. I looked it up afterwards. I could not tell you. He says it like 5 times in the movie. I was like, what? Why is he saying that? I think the weirdest moment in the movie is when when Lenny turns to him and is like, "Man, how did we get here?" And he turns to Lenny and he goes, "I led you here, for I am Spartacus." And I paused the movie and I went, "What?"
Yeah, I think it'd be really weird for any of us to have a friend that basically only speaks movie quotes. That would be very strange.
But just from one movie?
One movie quote and not even
Yes.
different quotes. The one line over and over again.
All from The Dark Knight Rises. That is, we all love Bane.
That's
Also,
true.
Spartacus
You were
has
born
some
in the dark- I was
connotations.
born in the darkness.
I don't know if Guy is gay in this movie, but did you guys hear about the extended cut
Of this movie?
of
Spartacus.
that thing you do?
I
No.
heard it was like 2 hours and 40 minutes, something like that. Yes, Ryan?
Yes, and Tom Hanks runs into the car of his partner, who was played by Howie Long, NFL superstar Howie Long. So one of the things that they did cut is the single gay character, or the fact that he was gay.
Right. The Disney style. That's
But yeah-
interesting. And Spartacus is a reference to that, maybe?
Well, gladiator movies are like kind of like that's been like a low key indicator of homosexuality, right, Ryan? Like a
Yeah, but Spartacus is the king. Like Spartacus is basically Kubrick telling a gay story in the only way that he can back then. And like those references have been around long before I saw Spartacus. Like in The Simpsons and in Clueless, the only movie that the ring-a-ding kid that Cher is into wants to watch is Spartacus. It's just supposed to be like this thing that tells you that he's gay.
Emma Stone is going to be devastated.
I know.
I guess that aside, can you just give yourself a cool nickname like that? Or can you give yourself a nickname? Wouldn't you want to punch Guy because he keeps calling himself Spartacus?
I did.
I guess it shows like what a big dork he is, because like that's kind of like maybe like Star Trek or Lord of the Rings or something. Like he's the only one who's into it, and then there is that one time where the guy in the booth is like, "Hey, all right," and so like it shows that like he like is the only. There are people out there who get what he's putting down. It's just they're very rare.
Plus, tonight in this episode, we have witnessed Greg declaring himself to be Sporty Spice. So, is it anything better than that?
And he does say it a lot
Mhm.
off air. He said it a bunch already.
I am what I am.
And you're Sporty Spice.
And I am Sporty Spice.
Tom Hanks only made one other movie after this called Larry Crown. Can you remember the name of the movie he made after That Thing You Do?
It's gone.
It is a riddle.
Larry Crown.
It's Larry Crown.
Oh, shit. Good job, Greg.
Is Jimmy's fumbling Liv Tyler the ultimate fuck up? Why is he so stupid? And what's his problem anyway? That he's stupid?
All right. Usually the board writes these questions, but I feel like I know who wrote this one.
Yeah.
You?
I have to say, I've always hated this guy a little extra because of how much he totally fucks up with Liv Tyler. I think that just because of the age I was, I don't think I fully separated, like, this is an actor doing a job of work. I think instead I see that guy's face and I'm just like, I want to hit you with a monkey wrench.
I don't know if this is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it. He is a piece of shit asshole, but he then has to sit. We all have to sit through Liv Tyler's
Wow.
kisses speech. And
Wow.
I would have been like, I've made a good move.
Wow. What an awkward moment in movie history. That speech. Holy cow.
I love how he turns around in the middle of her speech.
Yeah.
Thanks him.
Are you guys listening to this? What's happening right now?
Why is this happening to all of us?
And even guys like, oh, I have a Game Boy somewhere. I'm just going to not pay attention.
With Liv Tyler's Faye and Charlize Theron's Tina, how are the women written in this movie? Are they equal characters?
I feel like more and more throughout our seasons, especially when we go back in the past, which is what we only do, we're giving so much
Not next
credit.
year.
At 2035.
Yep.
We're giving so much credit to the actresses rising above the script. You know,
Yes.
we did this last week with Jerry Maguire, with Renee and Regina, of just like on paper, they're flat. We hope that we get enough talent to make them three-dimensional.
I think Liv, and she does get more screen time to do this. Liv rises to the occasion. I love Charlize Theron, but she does not. She does not put any third dimension within Tina. The shittiest shit who's ever shit. You're cool. Your song is on the radio. Real great. I've heard it before.
But she has the ultimate reply to that Spartacus line where she just like very slowly takes the phone away from her ear and just hangs it up like she's choosing not to even hear what he has said.
I want you, though, to think about Tina and then replace band with podcasting. And now think about your wives and how they...
No, that's why the character bugged me so much, okay? Between writing the song That Thing You Do, songs for Josie and the Pussycats, declaring Stacy's mom has got it going on, and being the executive music producer for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, does Adam Schlesinger have a posthumous shot at getting into the Pop Filter Hall of Fame?
Yes. I mean, it's shocking that he's not already in there.
I mean, it's weird. We brought up COVID with Tom Hanks earlier, but isn't this guy the biggest celebrity that died as a result of COVID?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I like, with that big resume, I think he does have a chance.
Absolutely.
It would be so mean now, not like to be like, well, two out of 3 votes. So close, man. Better luck next time.
I like musicians who live. So
Why couldn't it have been Rudy Gobert?
on that weird note, the speed round is done. We're going to take the quickest breaks when we come back. It's award season. That Thing You Do was nominated for an Oscar. Which Oscar you guys think
Best
it
song.
was nominated for? It was Best Original Song. You don't get a point for that. But
What did it lose to?
That's I really wish producer Dave had given me that right now. I'm looking it up right now. It didn't win, which is so sad and very surprising. And we will all find out who won right now. It's You Must Love Me from Evita.
Oh, Evita, of course.
Stupid. The wrong song won. But we're going to give it awards tonight, so it doesn't matter. And then, of course, we'll be giving recommendations. But let's start with this movie that took place in the early 1960s. What's the most 90s slang moment, Greg?
Man, such a good one. I am going to go with the word major. I feel like in both the time where the movie was set and in the 90s, that was an intensifier that we would use she's got a major crush on you. He's a major makeout king. That's sort of major, Mike. That's what I got.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I didn't see the life
Yeah,
graph that
there's-
was reaching for.
So much. Where's my host right now? And you just weren't there.
There's a fly that I was watching fly around my head. Ryan,
Major fly.
there was a major fly.
Going back to
Dickinson.
the, I think the biggest scene of the movie where Mr. White says that Jimmy has no class. Jimmy's so upset that it said on the screen that he is engaged, and he turns around to his band and says, "Which one of you butts told them that I was engaged?" And in the 90s, we called everyone butts.
That's
True.
Tom Hanks bringing the high heat.
Dewey, master of the 90s. What was the slangiest?
The bangiest, slangiest term that I could come up with was when Mr. White is telling them about the cigar sniffer that they got to impress to get that record, and he says, "Yeah, biggest cootie I ever saw."
That is a good one. We're giving it to butts.
Butts.
But
Musical moment. There's a lot of them here. Greg, we already started with you, didn't we? Dewey, what's the musical moment of this
Yeah.
movie?
I know we talked about how it's rough around the edges when they sing at the talent show because it's kind of like offbeat and they're trying to catch it. But when I watched the first part of this movie a second time, I stopped because that thing you do got so stuck in my head that I had to lie down and recover. But when you watch it, like especially I think a second time, and you see the band slowly, and I love like Steve Zahn, I think adds so much to it because he's starting to really get into it, and then it kind of infects the other members of the band, even Jimmy, and they're starting to get into it. And I think it's such like a beautiful like moment where they find the song and they find the groove of the song. I love the talent show scene.
Good answer. Greg?
I'm not even going to go with a song they actually perform. I'm going to go with there's a montage when the song is like climbing the charts and they're doing their different like band activities and they're getting, they're going from event to event and it's very like surf rocky. There's no lyrics. It's almost like that song Miseraloo or whatever that is called. And it's just like very fun and very driving and it's perfect montage music. When they're with so many other, like with one song playing so many times, anytime you get another song other than that thing you do in this, you're like, you love that other song, but like you're kind of glad to like have a little bit of a break. And this I thought was a great break.
You love the chanterlines. When you hold my hand.
Yes, that was another good moment. Sure, yeah.
Ryan?
I would say that this is all-time musical moment of every movie that we've ever done. I would say that this could be the scene of our 1996 season. Liv Tyler's Faye has to mail an envelope. And while she's nonchalantly doing it, that thing you do is on the radio. And she runs up and down the street and they collect each other and they're all in fucking Guy's Shitty Dad's appliance store. And this is the scene of the movie where like it's hard for me to not get emotional while watching it there. Hanksian joy, if I may, at just turning on all the stereos and dancing, or even Jimmy is having a good time.
Yeah.
Like that's when you know it's important.
Yeah, the effervescence and energy and the dancing with random ladies and it is it's gotta be. It's gotta be the radio.
Getting your gold record or platinum record is at that point you're so jaded and whatever, as opposed to hearing your song on the radio for the first time. Like this scene is so genuine to me.
Let's go the opposite. Ryan, what's the cringiest moment?
All right, my cringiest moment. I thought about, Mike, for a second, putting Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger on that porch because I'm still affected by that from Jerry Maguire. But I'm gonna go with Tom Hanks did not want to cast Tom Everett Scott because Tom Everett Scott looked way too much like young Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Rita Wilson demanded he do it because of how hot he was, and then she played an actor or a waitress at the jazz bar, and made a bunch of plays for him. I think that was probably a thing offset. That's my cringiest moment, is how hunky that guy looked to her.
And he got drunk on purpose, so he'd be no good to her now.
Yeah. You've seen this
Dewey.
a couple times.
Yeah, there's no quotes written in front of me, and there's no song. I fucking love this movie. Dewey, what is your cringiest moment?
Yeah, we already talked about it earlier. I've got to go with when Faye is making her speech and just not a singular person in that room feels comfortable, and Jimmy could give less of a shit. Guys in the back like, whoa, I was having a good time. Steve Zahn just wants to get it on with the blondie that he's dating. Like, and no one is here for this.
That's his future wife.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the movie, they go to Vegas and get married.
And Greg.
Yeah, 100%. As soon as she starts, and it's like, oh, she's talking about like all the kisses. She's like, oh, she means to make a speech now, and you can just feel Tom Hanks being like, what does a young woman like think? Like, what would they say? Like, I think they would probably talk about like kisses and like saving them up. It's just it's literally hard to watch. Like, you will cringe while watching this speech.
To defend Hanks here, is that him, or is that in line with the rest of the early 60s archetypal bullshit that everybody kind of is? And so this is Faye's scene of that.
I know, but they're trying to ground these characters, or he's trying to ground these characters the whole time. And also, if you think about the music around this scene, it sounds more like lyrics than dialogue. 1,000 kisses, wasted on you.
We'll give that one. Dewey and Greg will share a point. Nah, you know what? Like an earthworm, they grow up into two.
You know what? I love the point so much, Mike. Give it to Dewey. I would rather see Dewey have the whole point.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I have a cringiest moment. Also, if you've seen this movie a bunch, do you know what's cringy? It is that the start of that scene, it is Guy being like, hey everybody, hold on, the fair Faye has something to say. And you're like, oh yeah, yes. Don't do your bad radio DJ because you're in love with her.
Also, Mike, one more real quick honorable mention: TV player, which is already so ridiculous, cringy in itself. Those Marines or whatever.
Oh my god!
Seeing how excited he is, and then making him do push-ups at the diner. Jesus.
To be fair, if some dank walked up and said, "I can already do 100 push-ups," I'd be like, "Show me right now, you idiot."
Which one of us do you think has been in the military?
Pound for pound performance. Dewey, who, no matter how much screen time they had, crushed it.
Steve the Man Zahn.
How did I even ask? Of course.
I can't even. Yeah, he's such a weird. I don't know if you guys agree. I think he has such like a weirdness almost to his character, but it's like so funny to watch. It's just so funny to watch, and also the way he talks and says some of his lines. It's just. He steals the spotlight for me whenever I watch it.
I think we're always too ready to like give credit to the actors for improvising, but that's sort of how his performance works, right? It feels like that he is reading a slightly different script where he is saying slightly more Zahnian things.
He is the only one of the actors who remembers they're all from Western Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So
oh my
his
god.
Accent captures that more. He'll randomly call Guy Skitch. No, like you know what I really do love, and it's the writing and the performance. There's a clear history between Lenny and Shades, and they don't get into it. There's every once in a while they drop something like, "Oh, these two guys like actually know each other and have known each other for a long time."
That first scene at the diner, where Guy is apart from them, he just goes up and starts talking to him. The other Steve Zahn thing I want to point out is Stew Man Trailer Guy is like, we're gonna go to Philadelphia. Steubenville and North Haversbrook, and somebody's like Philadelphia, and he's like Steubenville. I don't know if he's genuinely excited or making fun of that, but it's such a good line.
And that's his character. You never know if he is mocking them the whole time they're popular. He's like, "Isn't it dumb that we're doing this?"
Or, "Oh man, I wanted to hook up with those girls, but I was on the stage playing guitar," and just upset that like he's a band member.
Yeah.
One time we stayed up way past midnight. Ryan, who's your performance?
Oh, it's Steve Zobel, Mike. He plays goofball in the Captain Geek movie, and does so good where everybody's like, "Goofball, say your line." And he's like, "They're attacking." And, all right, Goofball, you're done for the day. I'm sorry.
I do it.
Go ahead.
I mean, the tone was there, but it's we're being invaded.
I'm sorry.
The line is we're being invaded, asshole. Greg?
That guy went to Juilliard. I have, you know me, Mike. I'm brave enough to be a basic bitch, and I'm going to say Tom Everett Scott. Acting is doing so many things with your face, and I just love all the little faces he does, looking sheepish, looking excited. He's got a boyish energy, even though he's the oldest of all of them. And he really, like, in both the movie and in the band, he has a lot to bear, and he does a good job in both.
I can't believe his whole like he's supposed to be the oldest and the smartest, but in every scene he's like, "Isn't this crazy? Oh, what's happening here? Oh, I should probably watch." Like he's just such a yeah. He's Robin Williams.
We are going to give that one to Steve Zahn.
Nice,
Not
Daddy's
Steve
on.
Ball. Director's signature moment, Greg.
You know, this movie, in a way, is like under-directed. I feel like, and it's probably like a conscious choice, but I was a little unimpressed with the way this looked and the way it was shot, except for one noteworthy scene, which is the scene Ryan made as his music moment. Getting the camera moving down the street and having Liv Tyler run down the street and having that be like one long continuous shot and feeling that energy. That's a moment that you like really connect with in the movie, and I think that that's the only one of the only instances in which it feels like an interesting artistic choice is made in terms of a shot.
Man, a lot of shitting on Hanks here. Ryan, what's your director's signature moment?
I like when I haven't seen a lot of director's movies, then I just think about tone control, right? Like that's the director's job is tone control, and I cannot believe what an incredible job he does of just saying like, no, this is how my movie will be, with no heroin and no crazy shots. The craziest shot I can think of is that outside of maybe the pizza place or some club, there's a little bit of a tilted angle of just like an exterior shot, and that's sort of it. But for the most part, I think his biggest thing, as we talked about before, is the tables. Is there a table scene? And the restaurant where eventually Ethan Embry or TV player has to do the push-ups, where they're all sort of like, they know they're about to break up, but nobody's talking about it yet. But I'm going to go back to the first scene where Steve Zahn goes to the counter to talk to Guy is, I think, better shot than the opening of Reservoir Dogs. Like, that's how you do a restaurant scene, is them just chilling, and the camera is not, in your way. The camera is just showing you exactly what you want to see, which is these people Hanksing. I ruined it right
Dewey?
Yeah, I think great responses from both Ryan and Greg. I'm so bad at like noticing cool shots that I feel like this is my moment's a director, but I guess also like more of a writer signature moment, honestly, with Tom Hanks when they have like their moment where they previously failed on stage, which by the way is like the quickest failure I've ever seen in a movie. Like they don't even get the chance to like fail. Like Guy's drum set falls and then they cut and it's like, oh, he sucked. And it's like, what? But
and Tom Hanks is like, well, don't do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the second time, like when they're getting ready to go on stage and he's snapping at Faye like, "Go grab his glasses. He needs his glasses." And like right as they're about to go on and they kill it, like I thought that was a really cool signature moment. It was a subversive signature moment, I think, because it was like, okay, they're killing it. Like, yeah, that was my moment.
You're going to give that one to the radio playing, Greg. All right, the awards are done, but the recs are here. Dewey, if you liked That Thing You Do or want something similar, what should people check out?
Yes, if you like That Thing You Do and you are in my age group,
or anywhere close to my age group, you need to watch Daisy Jones and the Six. If you are not in my age group, you need to watch Daisy Jones and the Six. It is a TV show, I believe 6 or 8 episodes. It's one of those longer form ones, so it's like 50 minutes or an hour per episode. But oh my God, does it have the greatest music that you will hear in a show. It's so catchy. It weaves through the story, and its band members. It is also about a band going through it and breaking up and trying to figure it out with all sorts of different egos. So to me, it's almost like a more fleshed out, more dramatic version of that thing you do. Obviously, two completely different pieces of media. But if you enjoyed this, I think you'll enjoy Daisy Jones and the Six. Give it a watch.
And does this mean that like we're probably not going to get the Fleetwood Mac classically lame biopic because that show came out?
I hope not, because that show is all you need.
Watching this movie, one of the number one things I felt was like that feeling of wanting to be in a band, like wanting that experience of doing shows and playing for crowds and everything. And another movie that is centered on music that really like gave me that same feeling in a completely different way was from our last season, Stop Making Sense. Like sort of like just by being a concert movie, it also makes you like want to participate. You feel like a member of the band. You feel like you get to know them over the course of the show. And then instead of just one song that you like played over and over and over again, basically every song that comes out that or like the next song in the show is another song that you're like, oh yeah, they did this one. Oh man, that's so cool. Wall to wall, great music, great show. And yeah, you get that sense of almost like you are in the band for one night.
Ryan, your rec.
I wanted to sort of see if this band went down a different path. So I picked a documentary called Anvil: The Story of Anvil. And this is a movie if I'm going to say Guy / Jimmy sort of stayed with Ethan Embry / Steve Zahn for their entire lives and they refused to break up, even if it was detrimental to their careers. And watching these two guys bond for instead of like doing the classic, things burn brightly and then they die. It's they just 52 years together of making music, even though fame never came. We have this movie to celebrate them, and it is a beautiful movie.
And it's a documentary, right? Not a mockumentary?
It is a documentary. It's very like it's a documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine came up earlier tonight, and is also Adam Schlesinger connected, and is finally getting its flowers because it came and went and was not loved. But Josie and the Pussycats from the early 2000s, man, do those songs fucking rule. If you like pop punk, it is up your alley. It slaps. It's funny. It's a good old time at the movies.
I have 3 small words for you, Mike. Josie and the Pussycats.
That was 4. I guess that was 3 small words and then Pussycats a
Big
little.
one.
Yeah, that was a big one, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Can you just pretend to be nice? That's their other song.
Oh, okay.
Before we say how's it gonna do, I'll let you guys know how you are gonna do. Dewey, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Do you have anything to plug?
Anything?
Things people should check out.
Ooh. I don't think I have anything to plug besides Daisy Jones and the Six. Make sure that you watch that. Yes, if all goes well in my career, hopefully you'll see me or my writing on the big screen eventually. But for now, just keep watching movies and maybe you'll see mine someday.
Do you have a social media outlet you want to?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at MCD Dewey Do, McDewey Do. So go follow, and I'll release some artwork hopefully for the stuff I'm writing. If you're a big movie buff, then follow, and yes, it'll come out soon enough. I'm working on a musical right now, so hopefully some music will come out on that Instagram as well.
Nice. That's awesome. MCD McDewey Dewey McDewey Dewey. Dewey, you got 40 points.
Woo!
Greg, do you have anything to plug?
A Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a book that's made a lot of people happy, and so check it out.
Greg, you got 42 points.
Nice.
Ryan, do you have anything to plug?
I, of course, have stuff to plug. I do want people to always check out Movie of the Year, the podcast.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard of
Gonna
that
like it.
show, watch it.
Ryan, you got 44 points. Congratulations. I
Woo.
expect my muffins starting on Monday. How do we think that thing you do is going to do in the bracket, in the finale?
I
think-
honestly, go Ryan. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think it's going to take Best Musical Moment, maybe a ton of noms, and the winner.
And the winner?
Yeah.
Wow. That was a weird, your syntax confused me.
Oh, sorry. When I finish sentences with a period, I go up.
Greg?
I think this show, we really focused on what was good about it, and I think we kind of hinted at different moments that it was not as deep as some of the experiences of other movies, and I think that's going to cost it in the long run. Very charming movie. Loved it. Enjoyed it. You could watch it with anybody at any time. But I just like it's all there on the surface. I don't think there's the depth that some of the other movies have.
I want to reiterate that I firmly believe that a movie is greater than the sum of its parts. I think that this movie could compete, let's say, with The Brutalist. It's probably a better movie than The Brutalist. I
I'll
just watched
shrug.
The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Good for you. Dewey, I said it earlier and then breezed by it. Name 3 things you fucking hated about this movie, because I could tell you wanted to talk more shit than we allowed you to throughout it before we get out of here.
No, we talked about the speech that
Okay. It was
That
mostly the speech.
super fun speech. The I am Spartacus. That was, I guess, that was a me thing. I just didn't. He said it so many times. I saw in the extended cut that Ryan pointed out. He says it even more in the extended cut. He's like saying it while he's having sex in the extended cut, I think.
He is
but-
Spermicus.
Yeah, for real. But
For real.
no, and just like Jimmy's switch to evil Jimmy is to be so out of nowhere, because he goes from being like this like semi-absent boyfriend who wants to make music and who's like kind of a chill guy but maybe a little uptight, to like, I hate you. I quit this shit. Yeah.
Mr. White, can I point out though that your currently semi-absent boyfriend will become an evil boyfriend within days or weeks. That's just like information.
Boyfriend's work.
Yeah.
All right, that is all the time we have. Thank you all so much. Coming the rest of the season, we have The Birdcage, we have Ghost in the Shell, and so much more. Until then, keep watching those movies.